Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Justin with Jay's Modern Bushcraft and Survival. And today I'm going to do another video. It's basically a project video. I have this, whatever that was. I have this nice Hults axe, and the guy that made it for me, Mike Schwentor, made a nice sheath for it. Just ties around there with a paracord, and I've reprofiled the edge to where I'm very happy with it. It's extremely sharp. Pretty much I love everything about this axe, and because it is probably the most expensive axe that I own, I would like to do some kind of overstrike guard here. And I've never done anything like this. I mean, I've made like a canvas axe sheath and some other little projects, but I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to kind of get creative here. I've seen a few examples online. There's some things that I saw that I liked, and there's some things I saw that I didn't like. So let me show you what I'm working with here. These are my materials. Obviously, I have the axe in the sheath. There's some of this leather. This, you can see I used that leather underneath the paracord wrap. The leather's actually kind of stretchy. It's soft, stretchy, so it conforms really well. Got a pair of scissors so I can cut it to size. I grabbed some Velcro tape. I don't know why, but I grabbed a piece of elastic that I had laying around. Again, I wasn't really sure what I was going to use, what I was going to need. I also have this. It's a, if I can find the end. It's a thin leather cordage. So I figured that could come in handy if I, decide to tie that on. And I also have some super glue, which I'm not going to dig out right now. And I mean, I also have some paracord, but it's a red and white paracord, and it's not really, I don't really like the color of it. It's not really, it's not really something I would want to use just because of the color. If I had like black, or maybe like an OD green paracord, or a camo, something like that, I would consider using that over the leather cordage. But here's my general thought. Okay, so if I put one piece like this, it's not going to cover the whole way around, obviously, but it'll get that front. And then I can put a second piece over top of that. Once I cut it to size, and then lace it in the back. So I'll have a double layer in the front, and I'll stop the under layer. I'll stop here, and then I'll continue for about another inch with the larger piece. That way it'll kind of taper down, so that way when I'm working with the axe, I can slide my hand up and down, and it's not catching on like a thick piece of anything right here, because that leather can tend to get pretty thick. So I'm going to start to get to work here. plan my design a little bit, and then I'll film a little more. I'll tell you what, I really wish I had more leather to work with, because I really like leather wraps. I would love to wrap the whole way and just be done with it, but I just don't have enough leather. I like the way you get, you're basically getting 2 layers of leather per wrap, and I could still even put, this one piece, underneath there, fold it over, and then wrap over that for the added cushioning here. But man, I just don't have enough leather. That's too bad, because it feels great in the hand, and you can get it very, very tight, which obviously, the tighter that is, the more it's going to support that handle and strengthen that handle. So that would be phenomenal. But unfortunately, just don't have enough. So it looks like I'm going to have to just do the my original plan here. Just kind of put 2, pull them as tight as I can. You can see I drew out a dotted line where I'm going to cut this one, and then I'm going to have the second layer go about an inch farther. That way it's not sticking up so far. And I shouldn't be hitting down there anyway. Like if I'm over swinging that much, I'm doing something really wrong. So it should be good. I just hope I can stitch it up so where this is, really nice and tight on there. But, I can always redo it at a later date if I need. It's not like it's permanent. Okay, so I have my patterns basically marked out for length. As you can see, this larger one's going to be just a little bit longer than the underlay piece. The underlay piece is good on width and on the length is good and the width is good. On this one, I did the length. I might need to touch up the top a little. Depends, because the handle is obviously a little bit more narrow here than at the top. So I'm not sure. I'm going to wait to do that part. And as far as the width goes, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wrap it around, and then I'll do another cut once I get the lengths cut. So let me cut them lengths now real quick. Hold on a second. Okay, so this came out, actually, this is working out pretty cool. As you can see, this piece of leather right here had like a natural little curve to it. But then again, so does the handle. So I decided to use that as kind of like a template, and I just folded this up to where they would just about overlap, folded it back, and as you can see, I put a Sharpie line there, so this now should have that same curve. As you can see, it kind of follows that handle. So I'll probably trim a little bit more of those off, so that way they're not, actually touching in the back. I just want them, probably about this far apart, so that when I stitch them, it pulls it tight and pulls it together. But yeah, I think that should work out pretty well. Plus the underlay, once I get this underlay under there, that's going to add a little bit of room, as well, so that I'll have a little bit of extra room for that. So as long as I can get stitching good, I think this should come out pretty good. I just got to make this cut here now. I don't know, let's see how she did. If we put that under there, should fit nice and tight on the top. I was debating whether or not I wanted it tight up against the axe head or if I wanted a little bit of a gap. But I decided I'll just do it tight. Yeah, that's good. I can, once I trim those up a little bit more, stitch them tight, pull them tight. Oh, you can barely even see. But yeah, once I stitch them tight and pull them tight, that should be a nice, nice little guard there. I'd love to be able to stain this a darker color to kind of match the darker color of the handle a little better. But I think, that's going to get dirty over time anyway. But I'll see what I can do about, some kind of like a walnut colored dye or something anyway. We'll see. Okay, so that's the underlay. So that one should fit nicely, just like that. Doesn't need to come all the way around to the back because that's not going to be stitched. I wish I had like a good leather glue, but I got what I got. I don't have much to work with. Alright, so on to cutting this larger one here. Let's get that cut to length. This would probably be much easier with a knife on like a workbench or cutting board. Just make a nice straight line with a knife or razor. Not like I got a knife that's not as sharp as a razor blade, but... Alright, so more scrap. So now, that one should be the length also. See what I mean though? I have to adjust the top because... But I'll do that after. So I want to make sure these are long enough to where there's not much of a gap between the stitching. But that'll be the total length of the guard with the second piece underneath. And the nice thing about it is that when transitioning my hand, I can even sand this if I wanted to, but when transitioning my hand and that's pulled tight, it won't provide any real resistance there. So I'll be able to, transition from holding the axe, sliding down. Should work out pretty well. Okay, to make a long story short here, I'm going to start the stitch. It's going to be a whip stitch over the top. I'm going to start it with a necklace knot so that there's no way it can pull through. And I basically haven't figured out how I'm going to finish it yet. Probably something just more traditional. But yeah, I go on and on about that for a while here, so I'm just going to cut this short. Okay, so tried my hand at stitching. Never been very good at it. So I guess this is what I'm going to do. This is just a little test piece. I'm going to do a stitch like that over the top, or at the top right here, which is going to go right up along here, you know, around the front. And once I get that done, that'll be in place. I'll figure out what I'm going to do. I might just run, because any stitches I do down here, they're going to show on the outside, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that yet, if I want them to show or if I don't. But I'm going to get trying to stitch that top. Hopefully I don't screw it up too much. Wish me luck. Oh, and then I found for the very back, I found this sinew thread to hold the back of the whole thing around the back of the handle. That sinew thread should be really good and really strong for that. I got some good heavy gauge needles for working with that. So let me try my hand at stitching here. Yeah, so I got a nice little piece of cardboard here. Where's my needle? I don't want to sit on it. I just need something slightly firm to press against. Alright, that looks good. There's probably so many people out there laughing at me like, this guy doesn't know how to thread. He doesn't know how to sew. No, no, I don't. Alright? Leave me alone. I'm learning. Ow. Where's my thimble thingy that I found? Like my thimble? Alright, so we're through on the first one. Fortunately, you guys aren't going to be able to get to see all this because I only had about 20 minutes left on my SD card. This will probably take me about an hour and a half. Just to give you an idea, I'm still working on the first stitch. So I'm going to pull one string through, then I'm going to even them up. I'm going to tie a necklace knot, which will basically wrap around the whole top, so there's no way it can pull through the leather. It's not like I'm just tying a knot and hoping it doesn't go through the hole. So the only way it can come out is if it were to rip out of the leather itself. And then I'm going to get stitching the rest of it with a whip stitch. All right, people, here we go. I am done with my stitching. At least on that seam anyway. Seems to be holding good. It should be fine for what I need it for. So Again, just to give you an idea how this is going to work. It's going to wrap around there. And that stitching really shouldn't even be seen that much. I mean, once it's all in place up there. Oops, sorry. I mean, once it's all in place up there, you really won't even know that stitching's really there. So now all I have to do is kind of trim up this back, these back parts here, and then stitch this back together. My only question is, should I do something about the bottom here, or just leave it hang? I'd like to secure it in some way. Maybe a couple stitches, just like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But then that'll be seen, it's going to be seen across the front of that front right here. You'll see that stitching. So, I mean, if I was going to stitch it, I'd really like it to do something that actually looks decent. Boy, a sewing machine would be nice, because this is thin leather. A sewing machine would work it no problem. But, I don't know, I gotta do something to secure that. I don't know, I think I'm just gonna use the darker thread and just quickly run across the bottom. Okay, so I got it stitched. Does it look pretty? No. But whatever. I don't care. It's going to do the job that it needs to do. Okay, so it needs to wrap up around here like this. And then it needs to be stitched closed in the back. To do that, I need to shave off, a little bit more of this. That way the sinew can really pull it tight around that handle, because I want that really tight on there. And that should be it. So I'm going to trim that, and then I'll get sewing. Alright, so when I wrap this around the axe, the way it's supposed to be anyway, there's a good, at least a 1/4 inch in most places, where I can use that sinew to really draw those ends together, pull it tight so that it's nice and tightly wrapped around there. And that's what I'm looking for. So all that's left to do is basically stitch up the back with the sinew. Well, it's not going to win any beauty awards, that's for sure. But, man, it'll get the job done. I mean, it's on there tight enough that, at least if I overstrike a little bit, I'll have a little protection for that wood. And that's all that matters. Once I get to a hobby store or something, I'm going to pick out some good leather, and I'll just slice that open, pop that off, and do a nice leather wrap on there. It'll look a lot better, and in my opinion too, it'll perform better. I'll wet the leather before I wrap it. That way when it dries, and I'll stretch it and make it really tight. That way when it dries, it'll bind up even tighter on there. And that, I think, will work real nice. But there you have it. Anyway, it's done.
Very basic leather overstrike.
It's been another little project from Justin here at Jay's Bushcraft in survival. Hope you guys like this. Hopefully it'll give you some ideas in the future. I did this. This was kind of like a practice run too, because this knife that my buddy gave me, it needs some stitching work on it. I don't know if you can see this in this light, that this camera has no light. Hang on. There you go. See, like there. Fix that. Most of the rest of it's good. Fix that, and then here it's missing a few that I gotta fix, but all the rest of it's pretty good. But the holes are already there. If I need to punch out, if they got misaligned and I need to punch out in any little bits, I just will. But that's a project for another video. I don't know. I must be getting pretty good, because that didn't take as long as I thought it would. You can see my new stitches there.
I think it came out pretty good. You can see those new stitches there. And don't ask me about that thread. We're just not going to talk about that. Just pretend it's not even there. Shh. Guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you got some new ideas, maybe some new inspiration from it. It just goes to show, you don't always have to run out and buy what you need. You can make it. A lot of times it'll be, even better than what you can buy. You'll be happier with it. And if not, you'll at least have the skills to do it again. But again, thanks for watching. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate your comments and your input. So please keep the comments coming, the suggestions. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you guys. Take it easy. I almost forgot. I wanted to show you the finished product, how this came out after I put the water on it and I shaved down this little very edge here with a knife. You can see, I mean, it's very tight against that handle now, and there's really no, there's no like bump there, so I can transition, up and down this handle, and there's nothing really getting in my way now, which is really nice. All I did was I kind of just wrapped the thing in a wet towel until it was really saturated. Well, the first thing I did was I shaved off, just a little bit of leather from here with a sharp knife. I'm talking a very little bit, like about 1 millimeter, just went down, almost like whittling it. And then I wrapped it in a wet paper towel until I was sure that the water had soaked through. And that's why you can see that underlayer so prominently, because it all kind of tightened up on there. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with it. I probably won't be wrapping it with leather until this one really kind of craps to bed on me, because it seems to be doing its job. It will do its job very well.